Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was created by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "My wife refuses to accept our divorce and I think she's trying to trick me." My wife, 29F, and I, 34M, have been married for 4 years, and up until a year and a half ago, things were fantastic. Our marriage began to deteriorate after there was a significant drop in sex between us. Not intimacy, just the actual sex part of the relationship. We would still cuddle and have deep, intimate moments talking and just being around each other, but she kept rejecting my attempts at taking things further past kissing. Now, we have had no problem communicating, so I made sure to address it early, and we talked and made adjustments. We both made sure to stay in shape. We tried being more adventurous, we went to couples therapy/counseling, and even tested both of our hormone levels. Everything was normal. Each solution would work for a little while, and then we'd be back to having sex maybe once a month. I asked her several times if she was no longer attracted to me, to which she denied every time. I asked her if I was falling short in the relationship in any other way, to which she said no. Well, about a month ago, she gets back from her therapy session and tells me that she believes that she's asexual and that's the reason for her libido being non-existent as of late. I was definitely confused because we had such great for a while in the beginning of our relationship, but her telling me that she's now asexual was heartbreaking because everything else is great. Obviously, I'm not going to force her to have sex, so we had a long conversation about our relationship, and I came to the conclusion that we should get a divorce. I say I because she immediately rejected the idea and said we would figure something out and wouldn't talk to me about it anymore. I didn't know what to say, so I dropped it. Well, 3 weeks went by without sex, and I decided that I had to do this for my own mental well-being, so I filed for a divorce and had her served with the papers. Last week, when I got home from work, she was going about the day like nothing was wrong. I asked her if she signed the papers, and she flat out said, "We are not getting a divorce," changed the subject, and acted like things were normal. Obviously, I thought this was crazy, so I stopped her and said I couldn't be in a marriage devoid of sex. And I mentioned that I was being incredibly fair with our divorce. She can keep the house that we bought and paid for with cash. She paid a third, I paid 2/3. I'd take all of the debt, which isn't much. We'd split our savings and investments in half, and she can keep 2 of our 3 paid off cars. I only wanted to keep my sports car. Thankfully, we don't have kids. I love her and want her to be comfortable, and I have no problem starting over since I make a good income. But she won't budge or talk about the divorce. This brings us to 2 days ago. I get home and go to our bedroom and find my wife's friend, 27F, in our bed naked. I immediately shut the door, said sorry, and went looking for my wife. I found her in the kitchen and asked what her friend was doing here, and she said that she was here for me. I put 2 and 2 together and said that I'm not having sex with other women in place of the woman I chose to marry. She was adamant on saying that I could sleep with her whenever I wanted and that her friend agreed to it. I couldn't believe things would get this far, so I went back to our bedroom and asked her friend to leave. I packed a bag and I've been staying in a hotel nearby since that night. My wife, her mother, and her sister keep calling me, but I'm just not interested in hearing what they have to say. This feels like a trick. I just want this whole thing to be over. Does anyone have advice? Is this some kind of ploy for alimony? We do have a prenup. Should I just contact my lawyer and try and force the divorce? I'm really uncomfortable with this entire situation. Edit, we talked last night. I'll update you when I get home from work. Edit 2, here's the update if anyone's interested. I'll try to keep this as concise as possible. I feel overwhelmed, so I probably won't bother with another update after this one. I don't know. My wife came to my hotel last night and we talked about everything. She told me the full truth and what's going on in her mind. A few of you commented this in the last post, so you were right. She has always been asexual. She and her whole family have known this since she was 16. Apparently, this is the reason why her last long-term relationship of 3 years ended. He broke up with her after the sex between them diminished to being non-existent after the first year. She told me that is easier for her in the beginning when emotions are running high, but she still needs to force herself to have it. I knew they broke up due to irresolvable differences, but I didn't ask for details, nor did she tell me. After a lot of apologies and crying, she told me that I was the first person she was able to tolerate sex with for so long, and that she did enjoy it a handful of times. But after a while, she still felt like she was being I broke down after hearing this and started kicking myself for not catching on to any of this. She said she tried her best to please me as much as she could. She still doesn't want a divorce, and she doesn't want the house, cars, or the savings. She just wants me and is ready to do whatever it takes to keep me. She even said that she would sign a post-nup stating this. As for her friend, she was there during her last breakup and helped to support her through it. My wife went to her after I brought up divorce and talked things out. Her friend suggested that she open the relationship for me, but she said she didn't want me sleeping with strange women, so her friend volunteered herself to be the one that sleeps with me. My wife thought this was a great idea, which led to the fiasco at our house. I won't comment on her appearance because it doesn't matter, and I don't blame the friend. My lawyer got back to me. You were all right. I don't need her permission, but I will have to wait if I want to push it through. I asked her why she lied to me this entire time, and she said she was tired of being rejected after revealing she was asexual, so she convinced herself that she would be able to force herself to have sex during the relationship. The hormone testing, the sessions in couples therapy, and all of our solutions were just her buying time to find another way around sex or give herself enough time to build up the strength to start regularly having sex with me again. Our conversation ended with us holding each other in bed, crying for a couple of hours. No, we didn't have sex. She pleaded with me to hold off on the divorce to look for a solution together and left my hotel room. I'm now sitting alone typing this post. I guess I found out that we don't share everything with each other. Thank you to everyone who has messaged me directly. I'm still trying to get to all of them. I don't know what I'm going to do. User Small Doses of Epic said, I am thinking this is more her grasping at straws to keep the marriage than a trick. If you are strictly monogamous, then this solution of hers is a non-starter. Sure, she came out as asexual, but that doesn't mean she gets to tie you down for life if your needs aren't being met by the person you married. This is one of the best reasons to separate, and since there isn't a good compromise that works for both parties involved, you've even been generous in the terms of the divorce paperwork. Honestly, at this point, if she refuses to discuss it and tries to hold you hostage, which is what she is doing, then I think your only recourse is to force the divorce. Throwing her friend at you may be seen as a compromise to some, but to those who don't sleep with anyone except their partner, it's insulting and belittling, especially when they vowed to be faithful. Divorce is always better than cheating. Good luck, OP. Edit potential cheating. User Adventurous Basis 280 said, I don't know that it is necessarily a trick regarding alimony so much as her trying to keep you married. I would absolutely not do it though, especially with a friend of hers. That is crazy. If you are okay with opening the relationship, that is a completely different conversation, but for her to spring, this is insane. If you do open it, I would definitely talk to the lawyer to make sure you don't get screwed. Pun intended on the prenup. If you don't want to open the relationship and want it all with one person, absolutely go to your lawyer and push the divorce. She can't just decide you aren't getting divorced. It will take longer, but it will definitely happen. Sorry, this is happening to you. Under this comment, OP said the following, I suppose I'm just shocked at her behavior. She isn't acting like the woman I married. At times, it felt like she was more charged than I was. I can't sleep with someone I don't have strong emotions for, and she understands that. Or at least I thought she did. I'm sorry this is happening to me too. Thank you for your words. User Leah the Vagabond said, that took a turn I wasn't expecting. Your wife seems incapable of having an adult conversation when it really matters. If her solution was to open the marriage, then that needed to be a conversation, and you needed to consent. You do not need her consent to divorce. If she makes you force the divorce, I would reconsider the terms a bit. You've been very generous, probably too much so. About a month later, OP provided an update. I don't think I can link my previous post, so just go to my profile, I guess, if you care to read the OP. I've tried to read every comment message and take to heart what most of you had to say. Also, please stop messaging me. I can't respond to everyone. It's too much. I'll make this as short as possible. After my last update, my wife asked me to meet with her about a week later to discuss things with her. I've been staying at an extended stay since that night with her friend. We met at our house and talked for a few hours. She started off with a ton of apologies for how she acted, her lying about her sexuality, and not taking my needs more seriously. Before I could say anything, she presented a signed post-nup agreement she had drafted with a lawyer stating that she doesn't want anything. The house, the cars, savings, everything. I felt like the biggest jerk for thinking that she was tricking me for more money. I asked her if she was serious, and she told me to take the post-nup with me and sign it when I'm ready. I still haven't signed it, it's in my backpack. I told her that I still think divorce is our best course of action and that we both deserve to find someone who matches our needs. She still refused and borderline begged me to reconsider. She started crying, and so did I. Seeing her like this was devastating. I told her that her finding other women to sleep with me wasn't going to work. What if I develop feelings for them? What if I get one of them pregnant? Do we expect her to get an abortion? She said we'll figure it out as we go along and to please give her more time to work on other solutions. She set up appointments for and hormone therapy and is seeing a guru. I said that it sounds like we're going through the same things again, but she was adamant and pleaded with me to wait. There were more apologies on both sides, and we kissed for a while before ending the conversation. Then I went back to my hotel that night. A few days later, I tried texting her, but she didn't respond, so I called her dad. I'm avoiding her mother and sister since they are saying the same things as my wife. Her dad told me that she moved back home and has been holed up in her room since our talk. She called out of work. He told me that she's barely eating, bathing, or talking to him or her mom. He asked me what I was going to do, but I didn't have an answer for him. He just said he understands and said he would be here to talk anytime I wanted to. So I went back to our house and a good portion of her stuff was gone. The whole place feels empty. I've been sleeping in one of the spare rooms. I'm planning on flying to my mother's house in a couple weeks to spend time with my family to decompress from this entire situation. I'm still on the divorce side of the fence, but I guess there's no rush. Thank you to everyone for your insight and concern. Seriously, I know we're all strangers, but most of you have been a huge help to my mental health. Seriously, thank you. Also, my cousin uses Reddit. He reached out after he found my last post and asked me to shout him out if I made an update. Love you, Virgil. Thank you for being there for me. I think I'll just make a quick edit to this post once we reach a resolution for anyone that cares. User Clear Firefighter said, it's a rough situation, but if having an intimate physical relationship with your wife is important, I think you know what needs to be done. Sucks for everyone involved. Godspeed. Under this comment, another user said, in a relationship is like a toilet in your house. It's not the first thing you mention when talking about it, but if it's not working, then it's immediately noticed. User Acrylic Torch said, no, you should figure it out now and hold her to that. It's her we'll figure it out as we go mindset that got you both in this situation. I don't even know her, but this one pattern of her behavior keeps repeating in your posts. She avoids the hard questions. These aren't faraway hypotheticals, but legitimate possible consequences of the plan she's suggesting. And if you have any interest in saving this relationship, then you need to hammer out the details before you act. She sure won't. User Fly Flirty and 50 said, I'm so sorry OP, I was in a marriage for a long time where we were sexually incompatible. Our issues were different, but it sucks when you love someone and things don't work out. Ultimately, it's best to divorce because otherwise resentments will build. You sound like a really wonderful person to be so considerate and to not get to the point where you didn't care anything about her. To be fair, she suckered you in and knew what the outcome would be. That's so unfair. By keeping that information from you, her wounds are all self-inflicted. Best of luck going forward. User No177 said, yeah, this sucks. Her and her mom and sister just don't get the fact that you want to have sex with your wife, not other women. It's bad enough to find out the person you love is asexual and has lied to you from the start, but when they then try to set up women for you to the house you share is another huge smack in the face. User Euphoric Purple said, I think divorce is the right call. I understand her reasoning, but at the end of the day, she lied to you for years. Now that her lie has finally come to light, she wants to change your entire relationship dynamic. Honestly, I think that it's all very selfish of her. She didn't consider your feelings when lying about her sexuality, and she didn't consider your feelings or even have a discussion with you before deciding that you're going to have sex with her friend to make things work. She seems more concerned with not losing you than she seems to actually care about you. User Darkfire359 said, man, these comments here are so depressing. Your wife definitely shouldn't have lied, but she obviously loves you more than anything, and her pretending not to be ace or the attempt with her friend were just desperate acts in the pursuit of that. I don't understand how people can be sympathetic to closeted gay men and lesbians and not be sympathetic to closeted aces too. Just find another asexual, seems great in theory until you fall in love with someone and they fall in love with you. And given that demisexuality is a thing, it's not insane to hope you'd eventually be more into sex than you are at the start if it's someone you really love. I won't pretend to understand how can be so important to some people that it can trump everything else in a relationship, but I know that it is for some people. That's fine. Everyone is entitled to whatever kind of deal breakers they want. It's just tragic to know that someone can offer 100% in a relationship, pushing herself through all kinds of pain and discomfort because she thinks it's necessary to be with the one that she loves. And then people will call her abusive or accuse her of not actually loving her partner in the first place. Some of these comments seem actually insane to me. Anyway, OP, I wish you the best of luck in your divorce, and I encourage you to ignore the terrible comments shitting on your wife, who sounds like she was only trying her best. I'll mention that my ex and I also broke up, despite both still loving each other, because I was ace. He thought at the beginning that that would work for him, or even that he was ace too, but neither of those was true. After a few months of separation and processing the breakup, we became friends again. 5 years later, we're best friends and roommates, along with his girlfriend. We're all very happy with this setup, strange as it is. Remember that your situation is not destined to end in misery for either of you. Under this comment, another user said, "The problem is that she's messing up another person's life by lying. I would definitely not have sympathy for a gay man who lied and married a woman, nor for a lesbian who lied and married a man, especially if they are not fulfilling the expected needs of the partners in question. You can love a person all you want, but if your actions end up hurting that person, you deserve to be criticized." This next story was made by a user named PineappleHot12. The post is titled, "I think my best friend is ruining her life by having a child at 19 with her 28-year-old boyfriend. I don't know what to do. I want to start off by saying my best friend F19 is the most caring, loving, and kind-hearted person that I know. We met through a mutual traumatic event regarding a man we both were involved with at 16. We bonded instantly and found strength in each other to move on from the situation together. That said, I never thought this situation would happen. I recently learned my best friend is pregnant with her boyfriend of 3 months. I understand that things happen, life goes on, and where there is a will, there is a way. That said, something is not right about this guy. Originally, it was the age gap that caused me concern. She actually thought it was a bit weird when I started seeing my boyfriend, who is only 2 years older than me. I think it's very strange someone at his stage in life could date someone still developing, especially since he already has a 12-year-old daughter. As it turns out, this is nothing. I first met him, let's call him David, after she told me she was pregnant. He didn't leave the couch, not once. He expected her to do everything for him. My boyfriend started talking to David and heard some alarming things. He claimed he was friends with high-ranked government officials who, according to him, told him there were microbots in the COVID vaccine. He claimed Donald Trump controls the weather and suggested my boyfriend build a bunker. He claimed seizures aren't real. He is a medical professional. He also tried to get me to call him to ask for his permission to hang out with her. I also saw him tell her to fix his pants for him because he didn't want to bend over. I tried to plan a girls' night 3 times on days I knew he had to work so we could talk about everything. Pregnancy, living alone, tough relationships with family, and a new job are a lot, and I just thought it would be nice to sit down and talk about everything. Each day I was supposed to come over, he randomly took off work and suggested she cancel because he didn't feel good. He also seems to be pushing away other friends and family that she has. Maybe it is our past trauma from men, physical, mental, and emotional, that is making the alarm sound in my head, but something feels really wrong here. I don't know what to do. This feels like the early stages of something horrible. I am scared this man is bad, and now, because of this, the child is always going to be a part of her life. P.S. I apologize for any grammar or spelling errors. It is the middle of the night, and I just can't sleep with this on my mind. Edit. For clarification, I am not suggesting she gets an abortion. She is my best friend. She wants to have this baby, and I will support her in that. The issue I am having is with this man now going to be a permanent person in her life, and I feel he is doing things that are a precursor to abuse. For people asking, no, I do not have a good relationship with her parents, just her younger brother, but he's just 14. Other than him, her family aren't amazing. She moved out at 17 and has been living in a studio apartment, walking distance from her job ever since. User Fred Red Fooey said, 19 is the worst. Your brain isn't fully developed until 26, and most 19-year-olds are literally not capable of making good decisions because that area of the brain develops last. He is very controlling and is going to keep her isolated. Do not drop her or tell her to drop him because he'll read her text messages and make her cut you off. The best thing you can do is to keep in touch regularly so that she can escape to you when it gets bad. It may take a year, maybe more, but keep the lifeline open if you can. Send her this free book via email from a Gmail address you create new for it so it's not in your text thread. It's called Why Does He Do That? Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men. Hopefully she'll read it and take it to heart. Under this comment, OP said, I feel the reason he is not letting me be alone with her is that he already feels I am a threat and will try to isolate her from me anyway. I text her daily and try to hang out whenever possible. Small talk and playing nice aren't my strong suit, but I am trying. I've played this game before, I have been here, I won't let him block me out. Thank you for the advice. I just feel I am going crazy and like I am the only one picking up on patterns. User T50kg said, I know this might sound odd to some, but I think you should ask your parents for advice and tell them the same thing you said here. Maybe they have some good advice or can help her. I don't know why she's with him if he's so crazy though, like those things he has said are pretty schizophrenic. Ask her to come over to your place because you want to tell her something personal about yourself and need a friend. That way, if he asks for details, that's all the info she has and it'll be a good way to get her alone. Tell her it's super important and you have nobody else to tell it to. So you need her to be there for you just this once or something along those lines. Also, I know this might get me downvoted, but she should really think twice about having this baby if it's not too late. This sounds like a truly terrifying story, and she could be in deep trouble in the future. User Clin Hoff said, you are a good friend, OP. I think often Reddit will see this type of thing and tell you that she's an adult and you need to protect yourself. You don't want to ruin the friendship by causing a fight and you can't change her mind. I think that's true to an extent, but I also think there are some careful things you can do here. Ultimately, yes, she's an adult and has to make her own choices, but her knowing you'll be there will make things easier for her. If I were you and I got to talk to her, I'd raise some flags, but do what you can not to push too hard so that she gets defensive. If she seems receptive to what you're saying, maybe you can go further, but tread lightly. I've learned that people who have defenses up sometimes double down on their choices and pull away, and then even if you're there ready to forgive them and help, they may be too embarrassed to reach out. Test the waters, and if she seems defensive, back off, apologize, and let her know you love and trust her, and you're there for her always. I've also learned that questions go so far, so much further than statements or sharing our own opinions. I don't know her or the situation to know exactly what to ask, but for example, if she brings up any of his conspiracy theories, instead of bashing them or calling him crazy or anything, say something like, what do you think is actually happening? Or what do you believe? If she sees things differently than her BF, you can go one further and ask, why do you think he sees it the way he does? Do you think he really believes what he's saying? Does he have anything to gain from painting it the way he is? Take the conversation slowly, really listen to her answers and just try to understand further. Obviously, you know what's going on, or what we can all reasonably suspect is going on. But if you genuinely try to approach the conversation trying to understand and not convince, I think it will go further in the long run. Approach it without judgment for her or him. Maybe you can get her to reflect on things herself without immediately isolating her either from him or you. Even if sitting her down and having a hard talk with her worked and she saw the light, there's still a chance he could catch wind of that and turn up the manipulation to make her stay. By approaching it where the goal is to understand and help her understand and come to the conclusion herself that something isn't right, even just planting that seed, I think it's far more likely to stick. In OP's update, they said the following: I have been wanting to do an update for a while, but I have been putting it off. I thought there wasn't much more for me to say that people would find interesting, but in the last few months, I have gotten a few messages asking for an update. I also was putting this off because I didn't want to disappoint strangers on the internet. I worry constantly that I might have done the wrong thing in this situation. Regardless of that, here this goes. I have cut contact with my best friend. I saw her one more time after my post. Her boyfriend hadn't changed a bit. We were supposed to go out for pizza after the farmer's market I was working at was over. The two of them were supposed to come 2 hours before it ended to hang out and browse the market. They showed up 20 minutes after it was over, only for him to sit in the car and send her inside so I could ask him if we could still go out for pizza like we were planning to. I said no. I wasn't going to ask any man for permission to see her. She got upset at me and said fine and that we weren't going. I said okay. Another time, she had made plans months in advance to come to a festival I was working at. It was a huge deal career-wise. I was lucky to get into it at all, and I was really proud of myself, and I thought she was proud of me too. The day before it started, I texted her so excited that we would get to hang out and experience this together. I told her where my spot was located and no response. The day of, I texted 2 more times and called twice and still nothing. She never showed up. It broke my heart. I confronted her and she said she forgot. She also said it's not her fault that she forgot. I told her how I felt and I thought we figured things out, but I was wrong. Someone also uninvited me from the baby shower. She sent out online invitations. I saw it and reserved. Later, I went to plan my mom's birthday party and went to double check the date and saw I no longer had access to it, which means one of the people in charge of the event had uninvited me. Her boyfriend, and her mom. I cried and let it go. She wasn't even really talking to me anymore, and I assumed this was the last I would hear from her. Yet, the day before the shower, she called me asking if I was going. I told her I don't have an invitation. She claimed it must have been a mistake and that it happened to 2 other people too. In the end, I couldn't end up going because it was the same day as my mom's party. I kept trying to talk to her, support her, get her to talk to her family more, and back them up when he tried to push them away. Things like the ones I listed above kept happening, but I don't have time to go into every single thing. At some point, I realized I started to expect nothing. I know she was pregnant and she had her asshat of a boyfriend to deal with, but our friendship became a one-way street. I needed her. I went through a lot of very hard life events. I have dealt with death, moving, mental health issues, and my ex stalking me all in the last few months. She didn't know about any of it because she never asked. Eventually, I broke down and told her. I told her how badly it hurt that she did these things to me and how hard I have been trying to be there for her. I thought we figured things out, but again, I was wrong. On to the final straw. Every year for my birthday, I would go away for the weekend. Nowhere far, just 2 hours or so, to go to the ocean so I could swim and get good food. My friend knew this because the last few years, she came with me. When she told me she was pregnant, she immediately asked if I would do her maternity pictures for her because I do freelance photography on occasion. She said she wouldn't be able to pay much, so she couldn't get a professional, but was hoping it would be enough for me to do it. I said, of course, and she didn't have to worry about paying me. It was a gift. I kept asking for a date. She kept putting it off and finally asked to do it the day before my birthday. I said I was going to be away. She begged, so I agreed to do it and canceled my trip for her. My boyfriend and one of my friends decided to plan a surprise birthday party for me. They invited all my friends, got all my favorite foods, and got decorations in my favorite colors. Unfortunately, my boyfriend is bad at keeping secrets, and I found out about it a day before the party. Day of the party and no one came. 14 reservations and no one came. I texted my friend's brother to see if he and his sister were coming since they were invited, and he had no idea what I was talking about. My friend who planned the party then informed me my friend hadn't even opened her invitation. They were close friends too, so this doesn't make much sense. Her brother then texted me that my friend was actually getting her pictures taken, and so there's no way they could go. My heart was broken. The second I sent her a text saying that I wished her the best, but I couldn't do this anymore. I cried for days. I'm still not over it. So there's the update. It sucks. I wish I was strong enough to be there for her, but I'm not. I'll answer any questions about anything, and please forgive my bad grammar. It's the middle of the night, and I don't have the energy to proofread. The next update came about 4 days later. If my grammar or spelling is poor, please forgive me. I am on my phone and in a bit of shock. I don't know if I should have turned to Reddit, but I am so confused right now. Apparently, she had the baby 2 weeks ago, and the baby unexpectedly died last night. My grandfather just called me and told me the news. I want to reach out. Everything is killing me not to. This was supposed to be my godchild. She was supposed to be the godmother of my kids. I can't imagine the hurt she is feeling. I want to say something. I want to help. I want to be her shoulder to cry on and cook her dinner. My brother died when I was young and it almost killed me. I can't even imagine losing a child. But I don't know if I can handle all this. I don't know if I should. Had I not cut her off, there would be no question I would be there for her. But I did cut her off because I thought I didn't deserve the way I was being treated. I still feel that way, but I also feel like none of that matters anymore. I don't know what to do. Please help. User Electronic Pizza 272 said, I'm sure she would still appreciate the gesture. I bet she's really hurting. She may not respond the way you want to right away, but maybe if you reach out and let her know you're there for her in such a sad time in her life, she'll remember that down the line and time will heal the wounds between you. You never know until you try. User Hawklepto said, I would reach out. You still care about her and she's the one who needs help. As others have said, she might not react the way you want and expect, but you can still show that you care. Also, tell her explicitly that you care about her and you're sad because she's sad. You're coming around because her pain is unimaginable, and the idea of her going through that without support is unbearable to you. User Marceli Pearl said, years ago, my best friend and I had a falling out over a guy too old for her. We didn't talk for a year. We started talking when I heard that her boyfriend, the one we stopped talking about, had killed himself. I texted her and said I was sorry if she didn't want to hear from me, but I had heard what happened and wanted to make sure she was okay. Within minutes, she texted asking if I would talk on the phone. I told her how sorry I was for her loss, and she told me she had wanted to reach out to me several times, but didn't know if I would be mad about it. We immediately fell back into being best friends. That was almost 20 years ago, and we've been through a lot since then, but are still best friends. That may not be how it turns out for you, so be prepared, but I think you should reach out with condolences. You obviously still care about her very much since you are asking this question, so just send a text or a call. The worst that can happen is she blocks you. User Rebel's Companion said, be honest with yourself right now. She wouldn't have reached out to you anyway. She was cutting contact with you through her actions or lack thereof. She probably made someone else godmother behind your back because her boyfriend said so. There is nothing you can do to change her actions. All you can do is keep the option of communication open to her on her terms, but you can't be the one to reach out first. Through the grapevine, let it be known you are saddened and heartbroken for your friend and that you are there for her if she needs you. Maybe and hopefully one day she will wake up to the abuse her current boyfriend is putting her through and start her healing journey.